Falcon! More manga, more monster girls, y'all know what it is, time for more Monster Girl manga recommendations, Volume 3. Starting off, we have the most sexual of the trio I'm recommending today, being Elf Cant on a Diet. Following a health practitioner of sorts, Tomomatsu, who one day on the job encounters an elf named Elf. Yeah, real original. Who's looking to lose weight. She came to our world through an interdimensional portal and after discovering french fries became a fast food junkie, gaining weight that for some reason stops her from going back to her world. Since I guess interdimensional portals have a thing against thick girls? While Tomomatsu tries getting Elf back on track with her health, he also happens to encounter many other mythical beings such as a dark elf, ogre, werewolf, dryad, among many others, who all have similar issues in being extra thick! This series is sort of a combination of two of my favorite mangas, being Monster Musume and Danbara Kiwamotoru. With its Monster Girl fan service and use of monster girls to come up with funny and creative scenarios, as well as its health advice. Though the fan service is sadly nowhere near as explicit as Monster Musume, which is pretty surprising considering the creator is a hentai artist. Which should be obvious, I mean, seriously, look at these girls. You know that's some hentai quality stuff right there. Also, the health advice is nowhere near to the quality of Danbaru, which actually highlights different workouts and diet tips in a very sexual manner. That being said, while it's nice having the best of both worlds here, the series overall is pretty light on content, as it all boils down to this guy going around trying to slim down women from a fantasy world, which is entertaining in its own right. But let's be honest here, if you're reading or planning to read this series, it's mainly to see thick fantasy girls work up a sweat and maybe learn a thing or two about personal fitness, but mainly that sexy thickness. Honestly, I can't decide which girl I find hotter, it's either the dark elf or the ogre for me. But moving on, we have our next Monster Girl manga, which focuses on aliens, in Kumika ni Mikaku, which takes place in a world where aliens have come to Earth and have managed to properly integrate themselves in human society. In a simple office in Japan, Chihiro tries getting one of his alien co-workers, the uptight Kumika, to join him at a staff after-work party. However, she refuses. While it may seem like she's just being cold, it's later revealed Kumika comes from an alien race that's able to gain nutrients by absorbing air, meaning she has no actual need of food. However, Chihiro then shows her that there's more to food than just simply sustaining yourself, introducing Kumika to the tasty and diverse world of real food, with each chapter following Kumika discovering new flavors, textures, and even emotions. Now the concept here for a food-related series is actually brilliant. So many food-related series these days feature panels where characters are just endlessly raving about what they're eating. But after a while it sort of becomes either repetitive or ingenuine. Because seriously, not everything you eat should wind up with you in an orgasm. However, in Kumika's case, she's never tasted food before, making for an interesting perspective as each bite feels like an adventure. And while it does sound weird, food can make for powerful memories depending on the situation you're in or the people you're with, and this series is able to illustrate that rather well. While some of the food reactions can get a little suggestive, for the most part this is a series more focused on the discovery of new flavors and emotions for Kumika, as she slowly starts to warm up with her fellow co-workers and sort of develop a relationship with Chihiro, who may seem like a chill guy, but surprisingly has a dark side you honestly don't want to fuck with. Also really like the alien designs here. As I mentioned in volume 1 of my Monster Girl recommendations with My Sweet Alien Wife, I respect series that actually try making aliens look out of this world and not just color swap humans or adding a little extra feature here and there. I mean sure, Kumika herself looks pretty human, but she has a very distinct symbol on her head, pointy ears, and these weird tentacle type things on her head, as these head tentacles are just full of personality with the way they move and react to certain situations. And no, none of the sexual kind. And they also work as a pretty good indicator of how Kumiko really feels deep down. However, it's the side characters that have the more unique designs I look for in these type of series. Another thing I enjoy about this series is its overall world because simply put, it's just chill as fuck. Like seriously, a bunch of aliens just came down to Earth looking to settle down and everyone's like, yeah, alright, cool, welcome to Earth. And that's pretty cool in my book. Overall, if you're interested in a cute, lighthearted read with an alien girl discovering food, then this manga is definitely for you. Lastly, on this volume of Monster Girl manga recommendations, we have She Is a Rokurokubi, which if you don't know is a Japanese long-necked woman monster yokai aikashi ghost type thing. You know, honestly, I don't know. Japanese mythology is pretty crazy with their categorization. This is a youthful, cute, and somewhat deep romance following a young Rokurokubi, Kanojo, and her blossoming relationship with her childhood friend Itsuki. While this is essentially just a high school romance, there are quite a few surprises to be found here. First off, the fact that the relationship between our two main characters actually gets a good amount of development and is pretty believable. Excluding the supernatural elements. Then again, unlike everything I've recommended so far, this is a completed series, and a rather short one at that, being only around 22 chapters, so it is expected for the romance to develop. But nothing feels rushed here. Well, there's the ending, but I'll get to that soon. Now, I'm not a romance series expert, but a lot of the romance series I've checked out usually teeter-totter on that will they, won't they bullshit, so it's good seeing a proper relationship bloom here. However, on top of properly developing romance, the world of the series is surprisingly interesting. While you could kinda guess the way the world works from earlier chapters, the series never really stops to give you the details, only to reveal its true nature later on in a very subtle way, which sort of caught me off guard. Hell, the romance here even has a backstory I honestly was not expecting from a series such as this. While this is a more romance-focused series, a lot of the earlier chapters had this comedic slapstick feel to them, which utilized the monster aspect of our lead girl, leading to plenty of funny scenes and outbursts. But to help aid in the comedy are the side characters, mainly Kanojo's friends, who are actually my favorite part of the series but sadly don't get much spotlight. No, the ending, as I mentioned earlier, was a bit rushed and felt unsatisfying, given how everything was going till that point. But as it turns out, I guess the mangaka realized this and made an omake chapter, which is normally a little comedy skit or behind the scenes talk, given at the end of a published manga volume. However, for this series, it actually wound up being a proper ending to the manga, which I respect the mangaka for, as it definitely makes for a better way to leave off the series. While I haven't checked out a lot of their works yet, I can't help but get a feeling of a Makoto Shinkai or even a Mamoru Hosoda film while reading the series. It's hard to explain, but it's that youthful romance with a supernatural tinge that these two have done before that I think fits the series rather well. And while it's highly unlikely the series will ever get an adaptation, if it does, I hope it is directed by either of these two. That being said, if you're looking for a short and satisfying romance series that will catch you off guard at times, this one's for you. And that about wraps it up for another volume of Monster Girl manga recommendations. When will volume 4 come out? I don't know, but if you like Monster Girls as much as I do, then be sure to stick around.